Gideon did bring this important question
Because
up.
people keep trying to pet his dog while his dog is out doing search and rescue,
Yeah,
urban search and rescue,
yeah,
and he's, "Stop, leave the dog alone." Anyways, so
yeah,
here we go. We're answering the question.
yeah. But and we're talking about all service dogs as well,
Sure.
not just your search and rescue. I doubt very much that people go up to police dogs expecting to be able to pet them
I don't
whilst
know. There's a lot of dummies out there.
okay, you dummies, you listen up, okay? But if you see a service dog with a service dog jacket on with an everyday family, don't approach. Tell them why, Corey.
Yeah, so like she said, question 3 is basically, why should you not mess with a service dog when they're working or try to pet it or talk to it or whatever it is? And to be clear, I think it's probably okay. If you're, like, super curious, you wanna learn, probably okay to ask questions and stuff like that. I will say some people with service dogs are, like, super snobby and very annoying, so I will say just be wary of that. People yeah, some of them are really rough. You should see Facebook groups about service dogs and stuff like that. It is some of the roughest people, but in terms of their attitude and stuff like that. But overall, I would say in terms of, 1, if a dog's performing like a service for somebody with a disability, so that would be service dog. There's different types of service. Service dog, generally speaking, if they're out in public with a human, so they're not doing like search and rescue or a police dog or something like that, you've got like service dogs. And the definition of a service dog is a dog that's trained to perform a task to assist with a disability, basically. That is what
Yeah.
qualifies a dog as a service dog. And so lots of dogs are looking for stuff like seizures, blood pressure drops, heart rate changes, panic attacks, balance instability, environmental hazards, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so when you are trying to pet the dog, you are distracting it from the service that it is supposed to be performing. I
Yeah.
should also clarify too, there's a lot of dummies out there who claim they have a service dog just because they actually want to take their dog out in public with them. This is not that. This is not that. If you see a dog that's got a service dog jacket on, it's walking around pulling the handler all over and stuff and acting crazy in public, very likely just a person who wanted to take their dog out in public with them, not an actual service dog.
Yeah.
But that being said, there are lots of good people who genuinely do need a dog to perform a service for them to help with their disabilities. And
Yeah.
anyways, those would be some of the context. But when you're talking to the person or distracting, particularly distracting the dog in this case or whatnot, you're distracting them and, the dog from doing the job that they're trained to do. And that could break concentration, delay a medical alert, cause misguidance cues. If the person needs the dog for mobility, it can interrupt the mobility assistance, things like that, right? And that could mean falling, fainting, medical emergency, loss of
Mhm.
independence, things like that. And so
Yes.
there's just lots of downsides to messing with the service dogs. For the human, right? I'm sure the dog likes it. Or the dog, if it's a really good service dog, probably very indifferent to human attention from strangers and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But generally speaking, they're very well socialized, trained to ignore distractions and stuff like that. And so, like, you're overriding their training a little bit by messing with the dog, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I would say overall, that's probably like the big ones there. Yeah, that's probably the big ones on why you shouldn't mess with a service dog in terms of a dog that's performing a task to assist somebody with a disability. That would be
Yeah.
why I'd say you shouldn't mess with them. In
Yeah.
Gideon's specific example, though, search and rescue dog, if a dog is like in training or on a mission to help find somebody that's been lost or whatever it is, like, and you don't probably have to worry about this as much in the woods if you're doing like
Yeah.
rural search and rescue or something like
Yeah.
that, where you're in the woods looking for a lost kid or adult or something like that in the woods. Probably not have to worry about strangers as much. Like he's up in
Mhm.
Washington though, and his last search that he did, I guess first search and the last current one that he's done was finding a kid who had been sitting out front of a store or something like that. He tracks the dog down. But anyways, lots of times he'll be training his dog and people will come up and want to talk to the dog and pet the dog and stuff like that. And it's like, he is quite literally doing a job.
Yep.
He's quite literally doing something, whether it be training or for real. He's quite literally doing something
Yeah.
and that he's literally been trained to do by a handler or a trainer or whatever it is. And like you're interrupting that whenever
Yeah.
you are, and it's fun. Frederick's a cute dog. Lots of service dogs are cute dogs or whatnot, and they look very fun and approachable and stuff like that. But they're literally doing a job and you're interrupting them from doing their job. And if he's on a track or a trail or something like that, then you
Mhm.
distract the dog and he loses that. And then
Yep.
he's got to refocus and regather his attention and stuff and then loses it because you selfishly wanted to pet a cute dog.
Yep.
That's a problem. So generally speaking, I would say just stay away from it. One of the things that he had mentioned to me whenever we talked about this, because he called
Mhm.
me one Sunday while I was on a walk to vent about this situation, and Frederick's crazy. Like he always says I think he always says he's dumb as a rock, but he's got a good nose or whatever it is. That's the sentiment at least. It might not be those words, but
Uh,
he's got a good nose on him. That dog's a working dog, and by that I mean he's insane. He's hyper. And so whenever people do interrupt him and they are petting him or whatnot, he's jumping on them. And they're like, why is your dog jumping on me and scratching at me and stuff like that? And
Yeah,
it's because he's a crazy dog. He's literally trained to hunt people down for miles and miles at a time and
yeah.
not give up. And so it's like that energy translates into jumping and stuff like that. So it's like,
Mhm.
why is he jumping on me? Well, he's a crazy dog. And anyways, all that being said, overall, just yeah, just I would say it's fairly selfish if you want to,
Yeah,
just go see a dog and because you love dogs, or you want to pet dogs or whatever it is. I think talking to a handler is fine or whatnot. If the dog's clearly actively doing a job like tracking somebody down or whatnot, probably not a good time to stop them to have a conversation with
no.
them about what they're
Yeah,
doing.
don't
But
ask
if you're
yeah.
in Walmart and you see a lady with a German Shepherd who is her service dog or something like that, and you want to strike up a conversation because you're curious, I'm sure that's probably fine. If they're snarky, whatever, move on. But that's
Mhm.
probably fine. In terms of police dogs, they're like police dogs are normally working dogs as well. Normally have super high drive and stuff like that. There are some that are very friendly and very social and pettable, and there are some that are very not. And so depends on the dog and the handler.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but I would say same thing there. If you are curious, talk to the officer, ask them about them. They're public servants, so the likelihood that they're going to talk to you and be friendly with you is probably going to be a lot higher than some random lady at Walmart with a
yeah.
service dog. But ask him questions, talk to him. If the dog's friendly, ask if you can pet the dog. If the dog's not, accept that answer or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like one thing you definitely shouldn't do with service dogs, police dogs, service dogs, anything like that is just like randomly touch them without asking, especially that's a real bad no-no just because like on the off chance the dog is trained to protect or something like that, particularly like police dogs or personal protection dog or something like that. If you just walk up behind a dog and you walk up behind the handler and the dog and you pet them, the odds of the dog snapping at you is pretty good too. So I
Yeah,
would not do that. And this is also a good lesson for your kids. Service dog, non-service dogs, always ask if you can pet people's dogs before you just
absolutely.
pet them. I feel like
Absolutely.
culturally that's gotten a lot better. I remember a long time ago when Mia was younger, I feel like people would just try to walk up to her and pet her. Towards even with the vest on, by the way, that says do not touch, which is hilarious to me. People would walk up to her and literally try to touch her, and it's in big black and white letters. Do not touch. And people would still try it anyways. I feel like culturally though, that's gotten better
I think it has.
where people ask
Yeah,
now permission to pet the dog. I don't know what happened in the atmosphere and the culture for people to be more respectful, but I do feel like that's actually
I think
legitimately
so.
gotten better.